Hi, everyone. My name is Justin Goodrow, and I am a freshman at the University of Pennsylvania, practice test 5, section 4, and I hope you find great value in this webinar. Let's begin. So we have the first question, which is like they gave us a graph, right? And so they have, according to the line graph above, between two consecutive years, between which two consecutive years was there the greatest change in the number of 3D movies released? So the best way to solve this problem would be to see at like where is the greatest difference, or like the steepest slope. Because if you have the steepest slope, that's the part where there's the most change. So in 2003 to 2004, you don't see a great increase. So a steep slope would be something like this or like this. In 2003 to 2004, you don't see any very noticeable increase. I don't think there's an increase at all, which means that A would be eliminated. 2008 to 2009 right here is you can see there's a good increase in the years, and then so we could keep this one just to see like compared to the other ones. 2009 2010 we see an increase as well right here, but if we calculate the numbers, right, we would see it starts from 20, ends around like 26s. So the difference would be 6 for this. Let's do the same for 2008 2009. We can approximate this as around 6, and it stops at 20, so it would be 14 for this. So now we can eliminate C because that's the smallest. We have to see the greatest change. And now 2010 to 2011, it would be from right here. It starts at around 26, ends at 45. The difference would be around 19, which would make choice D our correct answer. And so that's how you do the first question. You just basically see where's like the steepest slope and see the difference. Next question is some values of the linear function are shown in the table above. Which of the following defines f? So f is the function. So basically the best way to do this would be to basically plug in the data points that they give you. So 1 and 5, and we can just plug them into each formula to see if it works out. So let's try the first one first. So we can plug in 1 for x, so you get 2, 1 plus 3, you get 5, that works. Let's try second one, we get 3 times 1 plus 2, 5, that works. 4, so they all work. So let's not choose the first one. Oh, the best point to use would be the middle point right here, or the second or third point, because then a lot of people would choose the first point. That's a mistake that, as you saw, like does not help with eliminating the choices. Sometimes it does, but the best point, if they give you a couple points, would be choose the second or third point, because not a lot of people choose those points. So let's try 5 and 21. Let's try the first one. 5 times 2 plus 3 gives you 13, which is not equal to 21. We can eliminate A. Do the same thing. It gives you 17, which is not equal to 21. You can eliminate B. 4 times 5 plus 1 gives you 21, which is equal to 21. We can keep this one. 5 times 5 is 25, which is not equal to 21. So you can eliminate D. So C is our answer. We're basically just plugging in and just checking. For number 3, as our answer. Third question. To make a bakery signature chocolate muffins, a baker needs 2.5 ounces of chocolate for each muffin. How many pounds? Which means that we need a conversion. Chocolate are needed to make 48 signature chocolate muffins. So we know it takes 2.5 ounces for one muffin. So we can make a proportion. How many would it take for 48? And we can multiply the two, get x is equal to, so this is the calculator section, so we can use a calculator. So 2.5 times 48 gives you 120. But remember, this is in ounces, and we need to find in pounds right here. So they give you the conversion, 1 pound is 16 ounces. So we can divide by 16 ounces to get pounds. So you get 120 divided by 16 to get 7.5 pounds. That is your answer. Next question. Oops. 4. If 3 times c plus d is equal to 5, what is the value of c and d, c plus d? So a trick you could do would be to realize that if you divide both sides by 3, you can get c plus d alone, and which is what they're looking for. So you divide by 3 on both sides. You can isolate c plus d to get 5 over 3, and that is what you're looking for. So that is your answer. It was a quick and easy problem. Just have to realize that sometimes you can just do 1 step, 2 steps to solve the problem instead of solving for each variable and adding the other. Question 5. Okay. The weight of an object on Venus is approximately 9/10 of its weight on Earth. The weight of an object on Jupiter is approximately 23 over 10 of its weight on Earth. If an object weighs 10 pounds, 100 pounds on Earth, excuse me, approximately how many more pounds does it weigh on Jupiter than it weighs on Venus? Okay, so the first thing I would do would be to assign the weight on Earth to be X. Venus could be 9/10 of the weight on Earth, so it'd be 9/10 X. And then Jupiter would be 23 over 10 X. And then since they give you the object weighs 100 pounds, right? So it would be 100. It would be 100 here. And then it'd be 9 over 10 times 100. And then same thing for here. It would be 100 to get for Jupiter's weight. So you have 100. And then you have divided by 10. You get 90, and then divided by 10 here, and you get 230. And now I was asking how many more pounds does it weigh on Jupiter than it weighs on Venus? Makes sense because Jupiter would have a greater weight. So 230 minus 90 would give you 140, and that would be our answer choice C. So that was a simple problem. It was very straightforward. You just had to assign variables and make sure that you're doing the algebra correctly, and then the math, and just using calculator if you have to. Question 6. An online bookstore sells novels and magazines. Each novel sells for $4. So we can assign novels as X. And then each magazine sells for $1. Magazines Y. So if they give you 2 parts, 2 or 3 parts, then you can assign variables. And it was most likely going to be a system of equations problem. System of equations problem. But let's keep reading. If Sadie purchased a total of 11 novels and magazines that have a combined selling price of $20, how many novels did she purchase? Yeah, so this is a system of equations problem because they give you the total number of the novels and magazines purchased, but they also give you the total price. So you could do X plus Y is equal to 11 because it gives you the total, and then it gives you the price is $20. And they say that each novel sells for $4, so it'd be 4X, and then $1 for each magazine, so it'd be Y is equal to 20. And then they're asking how many novels did she purchase. So the best way to solve this system of equations would be elimination, because then you can eliminate the Y's, or you can eliminate the magazines to get this to solve for X, which would be the novels. So you can just subtract both equations to get X minus 4X is negative 3X is equal to 11 minus 20, which is negative 9. And then you can divide by negative 3 on both sides, and X is equal to 3. They cancel to be positive. And that is choice B. So that was a simple problem. You just have to follow through with your work and make sure you're assigning variables correctly and realizing that's a system of equations problem, and you should be good to solve this problem. Question 7. The Downtown Business Association, DBA, in a certain city plans to increase, that's the major word, increase, meaning anything would be positive, its membership by a total of N businesses per year. Reminds you of a constant because it N businesses per year. There were B businesses in the DBA at the beginning, meaning the initial of this year. Which function best models the total number of businesses? Y, the DBA plans to have as members X years from now. So if it's a constant value, you know it can't be C and D because these are exponential. You can have an exponential increase, but that won't be a constant year thing. It would be more percentage growth, and that's not what we're looking for. And so it would be in terms of Y is equal to mx plus b, because since it's increasing, it would be a positive slope. And then it'd be an initial amount. So it'd be plus b instead of minus, because if it was minus, then it would be decrease. They would have a subtracting from the initial. It can't be b either, so it has to be choice A. So you just have to realize if it's a constant value with an increase, then you know it's a positive slope, and you know it's a plus b because you have something in the beginning. If it's minus, then you'll lose something in the beginning, and then depending on if it increases or decreases, it would be positive or negative slope. C and D are referred to exponential growth, meaning that the increase or growth would be in terms of percentage instead of a constant value. So that's how you can determine 7. Question 8. Which of the following is an equivalent form of 1.5x minus 2.4 squared minus 5.2x squared minus 6.4? So this is basically a calculator problem. This is what I refer to, calculator problem. Basically, you can just plug in everything into a calculator and determine, and at least combine like terms to get your answer. So basically what I would do here, it would be to realize that this is in the form of a squared plus 2ab minus b squared. You can a would be this number, and then b would be this number. So then it would be 1.5x squared plus 2 times 1.5x. Not 1.5x, it would just be 1.5. And then 2.4. And then minus 2.4 squared. Oops. So then it would be, it would be it would be, it would be 1.5x, because then you need the x, it decreases in terms of exponential degrees. It would be 1.5 squared to give you 2.25x squared plus 1.5 times 2.4 times 2, 7.2x minus 2.4 squared, and that's 5.76. And you subtract that from 5.2x squared plus 6.4. So this one would be, if you combine the like terms, if you combine the like terms, you get, you combine these two, you get 2.25 minus 5.2, you get negative 2.95x squared. So yeah, you can eliminate a and b, and then you can let's see. Oh, I think I mixed it up. I think so, yeah. Because if you do 1.5x, let's try small numbers. X plus 2, no. X minus 2, x minus 2, you get x squared. Oh, it's supposed to be the other way. Sorry. It's supposed to be a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. That makes much more sense. Okay, yeah. It becomes minus. Well, this becomes plus actually, and this becomes minus. Squared minus 7.2 plus 5.76. 5.76 plus 6.4. You get minus 7.2x plus 12.16, and that is your answer. Choice C. That's how you do that. Just make sure, don't confuse it like how I did. Just make sure that if it's in this form right here, then it would be this. So a minus b squared gives you a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. A plus b would have to be all positives, would be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That's what you have to know for this question. Question 9. Okay, yeah. In the 1908 Olympic Games, the Olympic marathon was lengthened from 40 kilometers to approximately 42 kilometers. lengthened to increased 40 kilometers to 42 kilometers. Of the following, which is the closest to the increase in the distance of the Olympic marathon in miles? 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers. So there's a lot of conversion problems on this in this section. So it increased from by 2 kilometers. So the increase was 2 because it's 42 minus 40 to give you 2. So 2 kilometers x miles. And 1 mile is 1.6 km. So you're looking for miles, so then it'll be 1.6x is equal to 2. X is equal to 2 divided by 1.6 to give you 1.25. That is your answer. Choice B. Just make a proportion. Proportion will always work for this, for these type of problems. Proportion. That's question 9, and now let's go to question 10. The density D of an object is found by dividing the mass M of the object by its volume V, which of the following equations gives the mass in terms of D and V. So this is a common equation that is used in science. Density is equal to mass over volume. They're asking which of the following gives the mass in terms of D and V. So basically you have to isolate to get M by itself. So the thing you would do right now is do the opposite. So if it's division, you would do multiplication. So you would multiply on both sides by V. So you get M is equal to D times V, which is choice A. Let's say you do question 10. You just basically do algebraic manipulation and then realize that you do the opposite. So if it's addition, you would do subtraction. If you do subtraction, then it's the addition. If it's multiplication, then you divide. If it's divided, then you multiply. Question 11. In the XY plane, the graph of which of the following equations is perpendicular to the graph of the equations above? So when they say perpendicular, right, then you have to realize that it is the negative. It is the negative reciprocal of the slope. Let's say if there was parallel. Parallel would mean that it would be same slope, because if it's same slope, right, then they would be both increasing the same way, but just different y-intercepts. That would make sense. But since they're asking perpendicular, we have to manipulate this equation and find its slope, and then find the negative reciprocal of the slope, and just check it with all these choices. To do this, we have to put in y is equal to mx plus b form. So then you do 3y is equal to 2x plus 6 divided by 3 on both sides. Y is equal to 2 over 3x plus 2. So the slope is 2 over 3. Negative reciprocal perpendicular slope would be negative 3 over 2. So we have to find the slope that gives you negative 3 over 2. And let me make this smaller. Yeah, so let's try this one. This one would give you 2y is equal to negative 3x plus 6 divided by 2. Y is equal to negative 3 over 2x plus 3. You don't care about that y-intercept doesn't really matter. You're just looking for the slope. And so this is your answer right here, but let's just check it just to make sure, like if their first choice wasn't the right answer. Or let's just check to show like why all the other choices weren't the right answers. So now if we do B, right, we get 4y is equal to negative 3x plus 6 divided by 4 on both sides. You get y is equal to negative 3 over 4x plus 6 over 4. This is wrong because it doesn't match. Let's try C. You get 4y is equal to negative 2x plus 6 divided by 4 on both sides. Y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 6 over 4. This is also not equal to negative 3 over 2. And now D would be 6y is equal to negative 2x plus 3 divided by 6 on both sides. Y is equal to negative 1/3 plus 1/2 x. This is also not matching to the negative 3 over 2, which means that A has to be the right answer. So that's how you do this problem. You just have to make sure what perpendicular equation means in terms of lines. It would be negative reciprocal. Parallel would be same slope, and then just compare it with the other slopes of the other choices. Question 12 is another system of equations problem. systems of equations. And this for this, you would have to do x minus 1 equals 2. And then they give you that 1/2 y is equal to 4. So instead of using an elimination, right? Or both ways work. If it depends on what you're comfortable with. I can do it both ways to show you. If you do substitution, then you can realize that 1/2 y is equal to 4, right? So you could plug that into this equation to realize that x minus 4 is equal to 2, because they give you that 1/2 y is equal to 4. And then you find, and then you realize, and then you solve for x, add 4 on both sides to get x is equal to 6. That's one way to solve it, D. Another way to solve it would be elimination, would basically by, let me write it down again just to make it easier for you to see. So now you can add both equations together to get rid of the 1/2 y's to get x is equal to 6. That's another way to solve it. I feel like that's an easier way because you don't have to substitute anything in, you just basically solve, but either way works. So 12 is choice D. Okay, next question. 13. Which of the following ordered pairs x comma y satisfies the system of inequalities above? So the best way to solve this problem would be to plug in each choice. It could be it could take a long time to solve it, but that's like the best way to check to make sure you're not making any mistakes, and when you're trying to actually solve for it, because when you plug in, it's basically basic computation to see which choice satisfies both equations or inequalities. So basically, if you plug in -2 and -1, you get -2 minus -1 is greater than 1. -2 plus 1 is greater than 1. -1 is greater than 1. That's not true, so you can eliminate A. And for the choice to be true, it has to satisfy both equations, the top and the bottom. We're choosing the bottom because it's the easier form. It's an easier equation. Let's try B. You do -1 minus 3 is greater than 1. -4 is greater than 1. That's not true, so you can get rid of B. Now let's try C. 1 minus 5 is greater than 1. That's -4 is greater than 1. That's also not true, so you get rid of C. So D, by default, D has to be correct, but let's just double check to make sure that we're right. So we do 2 minus -1 is greater than 1. We get 2 plus 1 is greater than 1. 3 is greater than 1, which is true. But now let's just use this point for the top equation to make sure it's right. So we do -1 is less than or equal to 3 times 2 plus 1. You get -1 is less than or equal to 6 plus 1, which is 7, which is also true. So you know D has to be our answer for 13. That's how you do this question. It's very straightforward. Just asking which ordered pairs satisfies both inequalities above. 14. In a survey, 607 general surgeons and orthopedic surgeons indicated their major professional activity. The results are summarized in the table above. If one of the surgeons is selected at random, so if one of them is selected at random, there's a total of 607 surgeons. So out of 607 surgeons, which of the following is closest to the probability that the selected surgeon is an orthopedic surgeon? So it's in this category right here. Whose indicated professional is research. So there would be this category alone. So it'd be 774 over 607. If we put that into our calculators, we get that it is 0.121911, which is 0.122, just choice A. So the main takeaway for this problem is to realize that what the number is out of, what the population is out of. So it's said that it's if one of the surgeons is selected at random, it doesn't say out of general surgeons or out of orthopedic surgeons. It just says out of the generals. Out of the surgeons is selected at random. So that means you would take all of the surgeons there are, so which would be 607. And then is which of the closest probability that the selected surgeon is an orthopedic surgeon, which is the focused population. Focused population would be the orthopedic surgeon who does research. So it would be that particular population. It would be 74 out of the entire 607. You would take just basically find the decimal value of the fraction to get 0.122. That's how you do 14. Now let's go to 15. A polling agency recently surveyed 1,000 adults who were selected at random from a large city and asked each of the adults, "Are you satisfied with the quality of air in the city?" Of those surveyed, 78% responded that they were satisfied with the quality of air in the city. Based on the results of the survey, which of the following statements must be true? Of all adults in the city, 78% are satisfied with the quality of air in the city. This doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be 100% true. This could be, it doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be right. Because like there should be like some sort of uncertainty with these type of problems, because if you are like 100% sure, then you can eliminate those options. Like any extreme words show or a sign that you can eliminate those choices. If another 1,000 adults selected at random from the city were surveyed, 70% of them would report they are satisfied with the quality of air. See, would report. You already this type of like expected vocab, meaning you could eliminate this one too. So if you can eliminate 1 and 2, it would have to be choice A, because then you don't have to test choice 3, because it's not as one of the choices. I mean, it is, but if you eliminate 1, then you can eliminate C and D, and then if you eliminate 2, choice 2, then you could eliminate B, and then you're just left with none, which is the correct answer. So like you could say if they had chosen the word approximately, then it would have been a correct choice. But since they said would and are, then that eliminates them, because then this shows like absolute certainty, which is not the case. Because it's just it should be an approximation, not like a hard number. So for 15, it was choice A. Okay, now 16. One method of calculating the approximate age in years of a tree of a particular species is to multiply the diameter of the tree in inches by a constant called the growth factor for that species. Table above gives the growth factor for the 8 species of trees. According to the information in the table, what is the approximate age of an American elm tree, which is right here, whose diameter with the diameter of 12 inches. So if it has a diameter of 12 inches, 12 inches times the growth factor, which is 4, and give you 48 years. And that is choice D. Yeah, that is choice D. Okay. Easy question. Next question, 17. Scatter plot above gives the tree diameter plotted against age for 26 trees of a single species. So it's just single species. I assume that we have to identify it. The growth factor of the species is close to that which of the following species of a tree? Yes, so we have to identify using the growth factor. We have to find the growth factor. And so they give us a scatter plot. And so we have to determine the growth factor, and this would be done using like approximating slope. Approximating slope. So I'll just take 2 points that are like very close to like absolute like values. So I could use let's say this one, 11 and like 82. And then I can use a point at the end right here around 16 and 115. And then just take the slope x, y. So it'd be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 115 minus 82 over 16 minus 11 gives you 115 minus 82 gives you 33. Oh wait, no. Am I? Oh, it's around 120. It's around 120. Oops, I misread that. That's why you have to make sure you're reading it correctly. 120. 120. Yeah. So 120 minus 82 gives you 138 divided by 5 to get 7.6. So we 8 to get 7.6. And now the growth factor that's closest to 7.6 is shagbark hickory, which is 7.5. And so that is our answer. Choice D for 17. So the best way to do this problem would be to just find the slope and use 2 points that are very like close to like numbers you can actually estimate, and then just find the slope. Question 18. If a white birch tree and a pine oak tree each now have a diameter of 1 foot, so it's 12 inches, which of the following will be closest to the difference in inches of the diameters 10 years from now? So basically, to solve this problem, you would have to find the years and then add 10 to those years. And then you would divide by that growth factor and then take the difference. So you have the diameter, just 12 for white birch. And then you have a pine oak, which is 12 times. So white birch is white birch 5, pine oak 3. Should be 36 here and then 60 here, and then you add 10 to both because it's 10 years, 70 and 46. And then it would be equal to the growth factor, should be 5x, and this would be 3x. And you do 70 divided by 5 to get 14. And then 46 divided by 3 to get 15.3333 is equal to x. And you take the difference between the two to get 15.3333 minus 14.0000. You get 1.3333, which is around 1.33. I'll just say 1.3, which is choice C. So that's how you do question 18. Users takes now, like, the questions are getting much more complicated and require a lot more steps because it's progressing through the test. And so you just have to like make sure you're organizing your work and your data and just following through your the math. And make sure to read properly because sometimes they can ask you to frame in ounces, like in the other problems, or inches or miles. So you just have to make sure there's a lot of conversions to make sure you're focused with those. And so yes, 18 is C, 1.3. Question 19. In triangle ABC above, what is the length of segment AD? Right here. And so they give you a 30, 60, 90 triangle because this is 30, this should be a right angle. This would have to be 60 because it's 180 degrees in a triangle. So if they give you 12 here, this was the hypotenuse. There's a trick to knowing the sides of each of the triangles. So if it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle, then it would be 2x, x radical 3, and then x. And this is both, you can memorize it or you could go back to the front and they give you the equations section and they give it to you right here. Special right triangles for 45, 45, 90, it would be SSS rat 2. So those are two equations or concepts you should have in your head. So it's easier than going back to the equation sheet. But anyway, going back to the problem, but they're asking for the length of AD, which would be opposite of the 30, which is what they're looking for as x. So if they have, so this would be 30 as well. So if this is 30 right here, and this is 60, the opposite of the angle would be the side. So this should be x radical 3. So if this is 12, which is equal to 2x, x would be equal to 6, which is what they're looking for, x, and that is our answer, choice B. And if they wanted to look for the angle opposite of 60, it would be x radical 3, which would mean it would be 6 radical 3. But since they're looking for x alone, segment AD, it would just be 6. So choice B. So question 20, the figure above on the left, right here, shows a wheel with a mark on its rim. A wheel is rolling on the ground at a constant rate along a level straight path from a starting point to an ending point. The graph y is equal to dt on the right could represent which of the following as a function of time when the wheel began to roll. So it's rolling at a constant rate. So that means that the speed at which it's rolling should be the same. So it can't be A because it starts at here, it starts at a certain value and then it goes down to 0. Then it increases to that same value at the height value, and then it goes back down to 0. And then it goes back up and then it stops. So that can't be the case. So it can't be the speed of the wheel rolling because it would be constant. The distance of the wheel from its starting point, this would not make any sense because if it was starting at, because if it's the distance from its starting point right here, then it would start at 0, but it doesn't start at starts at some numerical value that is not 0, which means that B cannot be correct either. Choice C, the distance of the mark on the rim from the center of the wheel from the center, from the mark on the wheel to the center is always constant because it's the radius. Should always be constant. But it's not because it changes throughout, meaning that it can't be C either, and it has to be choice D because the distance on the mark on the rim from the ground. Because if you realize that if you draw it here, that's the center and that's the mark. As you go this way, if you spin it like this way, then it would be, meaning it's decreasing, it's getting closer and closer to the ground, meaning that once it goes into the ground right here, it would be 0, which is what this point is. This point would be in the middle. This point would be the starting point, and then it just repeats and repeats the cycle. So that is our answer for 20. It would be choice D. 21. In the equation above, if A is negative, so let's say A is -1, B is positive, let's say B is 2. So the following must be true. We're going to plug in the values to get -1 minus 2 over -1 is equal to C. Okay, so let's try -1 minus 2 is -3. Oh, oops. -1 minus 2 is -3 over -1 gives you C. -3 over -1 is just 3 is equal to C, which shows that B and C cannot be it, because then it can't be true for all situations. Now let's try -1 and 1, or -1, yeah, -1 and 1. B could be 1. -1 minus 1 over -1 is equal to C. -2 over -1 equal to 2 is equal to C. And seeing this shows that 3 is equal to C and 2 is equal to 2 equals to C, shows that that they're both greater than 1, which is our answer. D cannot be it because 3 is not less than -1. That's false. And 2 is not less than 1. That's also false. So A is our answer for choice for question 21. And that's how you do this problem. Next question would be question 22. In state X, Mr. Camp's 8th grade class consisting of 26 students were surveyed surveyed, and 34.6% of the students reported that they had at least 2 siblings. So that's an important piece of information. Average 8th grade class size in the state is 26. If the students in Mr. Camp's class were representative of students in the state's 8th grade classes, and there are 1,800 8th grade classes in the state, which are the following best estimates the number of 8th grade students in the state who have fewer than 2 siblings. So if 34.6% have at least 2 siblings, that would mean that 100 minus 34.6 gives you 34.6 65.4% who have fewer than 2 siblings, which would mean that you have to realize that 65.4, you have to take 65.4% of the 26 times 26 and then divide it by 100 to get 17.004 students in the class who have less than 2 siblings, not fewer than 2 siblings, out of the total, which is 26, is equal to the total in the state, which would be 1,800 times 26. 1,800 times 26 gives you 46,800 students, and they're looking for X. So then you do a cross proportion, then cross multiplication. You get 26X is equal to 17.004 times 46,800 to get 795,787.2, and then divided by 26 to get X as 30,607.2 students who have a fewer than 2 siblings, which is choice C, and that is our answer. For this problem, you just have to realize like the wording can be different. You have to realize what they're looking for, and then find the correct percentage, set up a proportion, and then cross multiply and solve for X, and that is your answer. That's how we did 22. Going to 23 and 24. The Townsend Realty group invested in the 5 different properties listed in the table above. The table shows the amount in dollars the company paid for each property. And the corresponding monthly rental price in dollars the company charges for the property at each of the 5 locations. And so the relationship between the monthly rental price, which is here, this is R, and this is and the property purchase P in thousands, and represented by a linear function. Which of the following functions represents the relationship? So basically, you can just plug in to see which of the data points work, and make sure to not use the first one, because a lot of people use the first one. It could have worked for multiple. So let's try 140,000 and 1,040. So basically, if it's in the thousands, we just basically use the 140. So we do 2.5 times 140 minus 870. 2.5 times 140 minus 870. That's a negative number. That's wrong. Negative 520. It has to give you 1,040. 5 times 140 minus plus 165. That gives you 865. That's also wrong. 6.5 times 140 plus 440 gives you 1,350, which is also wrong. So it has to be by default choice D. But let's just double check. 7.5 times 140 and then minus 10 gives you 1040, which is equal to the 1040 that is listed in the data table. So you know the answer is choice D. Now 24. 24. The Townsend Realty purchased the Glenview Street property and received so the Glenview Street property, which is the 140,000, and received 40% discount off the original. So meaning if they received 40% discount, that means you have to pay the 60%. And then along with an additional 20% off, so it'd be 100 minus 20% to get 80% of the purchasing the property in cash. Discounted price for purchasing property in cash. Which of the following best approximates the original price in the dollars of the Glenview Street property? So it's equal to 140,000, and then you get 0.80 because it's in percentage times the 0.60x, because that's x would be the original value. 60 would be what you're paying because it's a 40% discount, and then you get 0.80 because that's the 20% also discounted. So you do 0.80 times 0.60 to get 0.48x is equal to 140,000, and then divided by 0.48, and x is equal to divided by 0.48 to get 291,666.6667, and that is equal to approximately $292,000, which is $291,700. So that is choice B. Yeah, 24 is choice B. Yeah, so that's how you do this problem for 24. 25. So this is a lengthy problem, very the deep problem. So the question asks, or question reads: a psychologist sets up an experiment to study the tendency of a person to select the first item when presented with a series of items. In the experiment, 300 people were presented with a set of 5 pictures arranged in a random order. Each person was asked to choose the most appealing picture. Of the first 150 participants, 36 chose the first picture in the set. So, and then and then among the remaining 150 participants, people who chose the first picture in the set. So if more than 20% of all participants chose the first picture in the set, which of the following inequalities best describes the possible values of P. So the best way to solve this problem would be to write down, would be to write down the inequality as they're describing the problem. So basically, if they said that 36 chose out of the 150, so it'd be 36. And then out of the other remaining 150, P people chose it, so it'd be plus P. And that has to be more than the 20% of all of the participants that chose the first picture. Must be more than, and then 20% would be 0.20 of the total number, which would mean that it would be 36 plus P is greater than 0.20 times the 300, because that's the total number, where P has to be less than 150 because it's all the same for all of them. So that does not matter. And then so you would have to do just make sure that it matches with one of the choices. And to see if it does, then you realize that if you rearrange it this way, then you get that D matches with what we have, and so that is our answer. So basically, the best way to solve these type of problems would be to make sure that you're reading properly and make sure that you're writing down the inequality or equation on whatever it is in like the right way that they're describing it, so then it matches up with what they're giving you as the choices. 25 is D. 26. The surface area of a cube is 6 parentheses a over 4 squared, where a is a positive constant. Which of the following gives the perimeter of one face of the cube? Okay, so the surface area of a general formula is equal to 6 e squared, and so or 6a squared in this case, and so they give you it as 6 over a over 4 squared, as this would be the edge length. So if you imagine a square or a cube, this would be a. But since in the cube that they have it as, they have it as a over 4, a over 4, a over 4, and a over 4, and they're asking for the perimeter. Perimeter of one face of a cube would be 4 times the side length, because that's the perimeter of a square. So it'd be perimeter is equal to 4 times a over 4, which would give you a, and that is our answer, choice B. So it's a very abstract problem. You just have to like compare with the original equation, the general formula. Let me write that down, and just make sure to understand. Make sure you understand what they're asking for. 27. The mean score of 8 players in the basketball game was 14.5 points. So 8 players was 14.5. Let's say total. And then the highest individual score is remove the mean of the 7 remaining, it becomes 12. So it becomes total over 7, it gives you 12 points. What was the high score? So so basically the best way to do this would be to find the total for both and just subtract the 2 to find the highest score. So you would do times by 8 on both sides, times 7 on both sides, to get 14.5 times 8 to get 116. And then you would do 12 times 7, which is 84. And then you would subtract the two totals to get 116 minus 84 to get, oops, what am I doing? 32. And that is your answer, choice C. 28. Okay, 28. The graph of the linear function f is shown in the xy plane. Above, the slope of the graph of the linear function g is 4 times the slope of the graph of f. If the graph g passes through the point 0, -4, what is the value of g of 9? So the first thing would be to find the slope of f. So the slope would be rise over run, rise over run. You rise 1 and then you run 2, so that would be the slope of f. And now since slope you would have to, since you know the slope of f, you can find the slope of g, which is 4 times the slope of f, meaning that it would be 1/2 times 4, which means that the slope of g is 2. And now they also give you a point. You can use point slope form. So they give you y minus y1 is equal to m over x minus x minus x1, because they give you a point and a slope, so you can plug in the point to get the full equation, and then plug in 9 to get the value, the y value as it corresponds to the x value of 9. So you would do y minus, this is x and this is y, so -4 is equal to 2 times x minus 0. This would become y plus 4 is equal to 2x. Subtract 4 on both sides to get y is equal to 2x minus 4. Then you plug in 9, y is equal to 2 times 9 minus 4, y is equal to 18 minus 4. And then find y value of x is equal to 9. Okay, yeah. So y is equal to 14, and that is your answer, choice C. So these are the steps that you should take when solving this type of problem. These are very in-depth questions that you have to make sure that you're understanding what each step is, like why each step is necessary. And then once you realize that, then you should be good for these type of problems and other types of related problems. 29. This is an equation of a circle because they have x and y, and then they give you the 20x and the 16y. And so they're asking the equation above defines a circle in the xy plane, like what I said. What are the coordinates of the center of the circle? So basically, to find the coordinates, or like to put it in this general form of a circle equation, you would have to complete the square twice, one for the x's and one for the y's. So you get x squared plus 20x plus y squared plus 16y is equal to -20, correct? So then you would have to do b over a squared. We would do 20 over 2 squared. This is a and this is b. This is a and this is b. So you would do 10 squared, which is 100. So you would do x squared plus 20x plus 100. And then you would do y squared plus, same thing on this side, 16 over 2 squared. Oh, I think it's -b, but it shouldn't matter because you square it. It becomes a positive number. Square, and then it becomes 64. So it becomes 16y plus 64 is equal to, and then you have to make sure that you are adding the negative, adding the 100 here and the 64 on the right hand side as well. So make sure, because it balances everything out, because you can't do everything. You can't do something on the left side and not add it on the right side. So then you would basically factor both these equations, or these trinomials. So you would find two factors, and once you factor it, you would realize that it has to be in the form of x plus a squared for both. Because if it's not, then you know something is wrong. But once you get used to these type of problems and like the factoring, you realize that it has to be the same number, and you realize right away what number it would be, what the b value would be in this case, or the a value, I would just say, because it's in the form of x plus a. So this would the a value would be 10 in this case. And now since that would be 10, then you would do y plus what value squared gives you y plus what value squared gives you y squared plus 16y plus 64. So the only option that would work would be 8, because then 8 plus 8 is 16, and then you would do 8 times 8 is 64, which matches up to these two numbers. And then you would just add the -20 plus 100 plus 64. If you add that, it's -20 plus 100 plus 64 to get 144. Now to find the center, you take the opposites of the inside. So since it's x plus 10, it would the center would be -10. And y, if it's y plus 8, then it would be y is equal to -8, and that would be your center, -10, -8. That is your answer for choice for question 29, choice B. Now let's say the center was x minus 10 squared. Let's say it was x minus 10 squared plus y minus 8 squared. Then it would be 10 comma 8 if it was like this. But it's not like that, so I don't want to confuse you guys. So I'll erase it. But it's just basically taking the opposites of the signs. It would be -10, -8, and that's your answer for 29B. Last question. And this is the hardest question for the multiple choice section. So in the equation above, a is a positive constant, and the graph of the equation in the xy plane is a parabola. Which of the following is an equivalent form of the equation? So okay, so basically they give you a quadratic y is equal to x squared minus a. You can assume it's a positive constant. So you could assume that it's dots, because it's dots is difference of two squares. So you, and when it's dots, right, then you would do x plus a number times x minus a number to get a. So it can't, so you have to find a number that if you square it, it would give you a. So if you do a is equal to let's say this is value squared. You're looking for the value, right? So you would basically take the square root of both sides to get value is equal to radical a. So that would be our answer, radical a, radical a. So this is our answer, and it matches with choice B. This wouldn't work because if you do dots for this one, it would be x squared minus a over 2 squared, which is x squared minus a squared over 4, which does not match up to this. That's wrong. This is not right because y x plus a x minus a is basically x squared minus a squared, which is also not right. And then this one is definitely not right because it's not even in the form of dots. Plus, if you remember what I said in the previous other question, in the earlier question, it was a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So this would be x squared plus 2 times x times a plus a squared, which does not match up to this top equation that they gave. So that's also wrong. So it'd have to be choice B. Now we're resetting in terms of difficulty, and now we're doing question 31. Horsepower and watts are units of measure of power. They are directly proportional, such that 5 horsepower is equal to 3730 watts. How much power in watts is equal to 2 horsepower? So basically, to solve this problem, you would have to do proportions. So 5 HP over 3730 watts is equal to 2 horsepower. HP is equal to X watts. And you can cross multiply to get 3730 times 2 divided by 5 to get X is equal to 1492 watts. And that's how you solve question 31. Question 32 now. The painting The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh is rectangular in shape with the height 29 inches and width. Height is 29 inches. Width is 36.25 inches. If the reproduction was made where each dimension was 1/3 the corresponding original dimension, what is the height of the reproduction? So the reproduction is 1/3 of the original. 1/3 original, meaning that is asking for the height. So it'd be 1/3 times the original height, meaning it's 1/3 times the 29 inches, which is 29 over 3, which you could write down as 29 over 3 or 9.67 inches. Both options work, and that's how you do question 32. 33 now. On segment PS above, PQ is equal to RS. So you know PQ is equal to RS. What is the length of PS? Meaning the entire segment right here, the entire thing. So basically, to solve this problem, you would first have to find the value of X and then just basically combine each part and substitute that value of X and just find the total value. So you would do PQ is equal to RS, and then you would do X minus 1 is equal to 3X minus 7. You would subtract X on both sides to get -1 is equal to 2X minus 7 plus the 7 on both sides to get 2X is equal to 6. And you get X is equal to 3 because you divide it by 2. So you know the value of X, which is 3. And now you can do X minus 1 plus X, and then you do plus 3X minus 7. And then you have you get you plug in 3 for all the wherever the X is, wherever each X is. So you get or you can combine it. That's another way you could do it. You get 2X plus the 3X here, you get 5X. And then get -1 plus the -7, you get -8 is equal to segment PS. You plug in the 3, you get 5 times 3 minus 8 is equal to segment PS. 5 times 3 is 18 minus 8 is 7 is equal to segment PS. And that is your answer for this, for question 33. 34. the point 25 lies on the graph of the function. If f of x is equal to k minus x squared, where k is a constant, what is the value of k? And they give you a point 2 comma 5, where it's x and y. They give you f of x is equal to k minus x squared. You know, this is y is equal to x minus k minus x squared. So then this would be y is equal to, or 5 is equal to k minus 2 squared, because it's you substitute the x and the y values to find k. You realize that y is equal to 5, and then it's 5 is equal to k minus 4. And you would add 4 on both sides to get k is equal to 9. And that is how you find the k, or the constant, for 34. Question 35. A landscaper is designing a rectangular garden. The length of the garden is to be 5 feet longer than the width. So let's make sure it's always ideal to draw a picture so you can understand what the problem is asking. So they said that the area is 104 feet squared. And then they said the length is 5 feet longer than the width. So the width could be W, and the length could be W plus 5. So the area is the length times width. Length times width, so it would be W plus 5 times W to get W squared plus 5W is equal to 104. And they're asking for the length of the garden. So first we can find the width, and then just substitute the W for plus 5 to get the length. So we can solve the W squared plus 5W is equal to 104. We can subtract the 104 on both sides, because we can set this as a quadratic. And then find two numbers, or two factors, that give you 104, and then a difference of 5. You have 104, 2, and 52. Let's see. Does 104 divided by 3? No. 104 divided by 4 to gives you 26. 104 divided by 5. No, that doesn't divide. 104 divided by 6. No. 104 divided by 7. No. 8. Yes. 8 and 13. Let's try any of these. The difference between 104 and 1 is 103. This is 50. This is 22, and this is 5. Okay, so this product works. So then we can set this as W plus 13, and then W minus 8 is equal to 0. You could separate the two, subtract the 13. W is equal to negative 13, and then you add the 8 on both sides. W is equal to 8 for this one. We can ignore this one, because lengths and widths cannot be negative values, and they cannot be negative values. So that would mean that you would have to choose the positive value, which is 8. Now, since it's asking for the length, it would be 8 plus 5, which is 13, and that is your answer. 13 is your answer for the length. 36. Question 36. Okay. Point P is the center of the circle in the figure above. What is the value of X? So basically, for this type of problem, you would have to realize that you would have to make a quadrilateral, because then you're looking for the value of X, right? And a quadrilateral has 360 degrees. So then this would be so this is X, right? This value right here, the angle has to be 1/2 its value, so it'd be 1/2 X. And then so you would have to add both sides together, and then since this value is X, this would mean that this would have to be, this value right here would be 360 minus X, because the whole circle is 360 degrees, but if you subtract the X, that's what the value of this angle right here. So then you would add all those angles together, which is equal to 360, and then you would have to do find the value of X, and that's basically going to be your answer. So basically, to solve this problem, you would do 1/2 X plus the 20 plus the 20, and then you would do plus the 360 minus X to give you 360. And then you would do 1/2 X plus 40 plus 360 minus X is equal to 360. And then you would do 1/2 x minus x is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 400 is equal to 360. And then you would subtract the 400 on both sides to get negative 1/2 x is equal to negative 40. And then times it by negative 2 on both sides to get rid of the 1/2 to isolate x. And then you get x is equal to a value of 80. And that is your value of x, 80 degrees. So you just have to realize that you have to isolate the value of x and make sure you know the properties of the circle, the inscribed angles, and all those angle properties or the properties of the circles, and you'll be able to solve these type of problems no matter what they give you. Now 37 and 38 I think are connected. Yeah, they're always connected. That's another thing to realize for these type of problems. For the last two on the calculator section, that they're always connected. Questions 37 and 38. Miss Simon drives her car from her home to her workplace every workday morning. The table above shows the distance in miles, and her average driving speed in miles per hour when there is no traffic delay for each segment of her drive. 37 is asking, one morning, Miss Simon drove directly from her home to her workplace in 24 minutes. What was her average speed in miles per hour during her drive that morning? So basically, she drove from her home to her workplace, which is the total distance of 0.6 plus 15.4 plus 1.4. So you would add them two together to get 15.4. To get 15.4 plus 1.4 plus 0.6 to get 17.4 miles, and she drove it in 24 minutes. So you're looking for the average speed in miles per hour, not miles per minute. So you would do 17.4 miles divided by the 24 minutes to get 0.725 miles per minute. And then you would multiply 60 minutes over 1 hour to get the minutes cancel out using dimensional analysis, times 60 to get 43.5 miles per hour. 43.5. And that is your answer for 37. The last question, 38. If Miss Simon starts her drive at 6:30 a.m., she can drive at her average speed with no traffic delay for each segment of the drive. If she starts her drive at 7 a.m., the travel time from the freeway entrance to the freeway exit increases by 33% due to slower traffic, but the travel time for each of the other two segments of her drive does not change. Based on the table, how many more minutes does Miss Simon take to arrive at her workplace if she starts her drive at 7 a.m. than if she starts her drive at 6:30 a.m.? Run your answer to the nearest minute. So to solve this last problem, you would have to do so she drives at 6:30 a.m. Then she would have to do 6:30 a.m. She drives at her average with no traffic. So you would do, she starts, okay, so if she she can drive at her average speed with no traffic. Starts her drive, the travel time from a freeway entrance to the freeway exit right here. Freeway right here. So it'd be 15.4 miles is equal to the 50 miles per hour times the time. So you divide by 15.4 divided by 50 to get time is equal to 0.308. And then you have to multiply it by 60 to get the hour, or you get the hour, the time in hours, or I mean the minutes, I should say, sorry, to get 18.48 minutes. And now, but if she leaves at, this is at 6:30. Now, if she leaves at 7 a.m., there would be 18.48 times the 1.33% increase, because it would be 100, it would be 1 times 0.33, because it's 33% increase. So it'd be 1 times 0.33, which is 1.33 would be adding to it. And then it would be 18.48 times 1.33, 1.8, no, sorry, 18.48 times 1.33 to get 24.5784 minutes. And then you would have to, and then it's asking for, based on the table, how many more minutes does Miss Simon take to arrive at her role play if she starts her drive at 7 a.m., which would be later or take more time than if she starts her drive at 6:30 a.m. So you would subtract the 2 to get a 24.5784 minus 18.48 to get a total of 6.0984 minutes. And since it's asking to round your answer to the nearest minute, it would be 6 minutes. And that is your answer for question 38, and that's how you solve it. So this is the end of the practice test 5, section 4. I hope you found great value in this webinar. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Embrace Tutoring website. And you can also check out the other webinar videos on YouTube and check out the TikToks. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.
Okay, so thanks for watching, and please remember to contact us at info@embracetutoring.com to set up any personalized private tutoring sessions you would like. Stay tuned for future videos, and best of luck with your studies. We definitely encourage you to visit our Instagram as well as TikTok pages if you have any questions along the way. Take care, guys. Best of luck with your studies.